For the next 30 days straight, I'm gonna be taking turkesterone. Been a little nervous for some reason. Here we go.
I didn't quite make it 30 days, and there's more than one reason why. At the time of filming this first clip, I had done a little bit of research and watched some YouTube videos about people taking it and talking about their experience, and mostly it was very underwhelming. Most people didn't feel any benefits or side effects for that matter. But my experience was quite different from what other people have talked about. So I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and ultimately why I stopped taking turkesterone. Before we get to the aftermath, I have a video from the second day that I was taking turkesterone, which kind of explains how I was feeling in the moment.
So it's currently day 2 of taking turkesterone. Day 1, I took it just before my workout, after breakfast. I worked out, felt pretty average all day long, really didn't feel anything. And then like 10 o'clock at night, I just got this random burst of energy. Literally until the moment that I fell asleep, I felt like I could come out of the gym and do a full-on workout. Like I was totally energized, like I had just taken pre-workout. It was definitely a weird feeling and almost gave me a little bit of anxiety because I was like, I didn't expect to feel anything at all. I feel like I'm recovering more quickly. I don't feel stronger. I'm not lifting heavier weights. I'm not doing more reps. But I do feel like I feel more energized right now than I typically would. My heart is going really fast. I feel like I took pre-workout, but I drank an energy drink and I have a really high tolerance for caffeine. So it really doesn't affect me in any crazy way. It sets me at a homeostasis after I drink an energy drink, which is a whole other story. But yeah, I feel like I'm recovering more quickly. I'm ready to do my next set within a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes later, when I would usually take 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes in between sets to feel fully recovered in order to perform the next set and go as hard as I can. So I'm feeling something. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'll keep you updated.
So after just 2 days, you can already tell that I was noticing some effects from turkesterone. But I didn't last much longer. And I'll go into more detail and explain why in just a minute. But I do want to preface that everything I'm about to say is my personal experience. It's how I felt when I was taking turkesterone, and no two bodies are exactly the same. So I'm not telling you to take turkesterone, I'm not telling you to not take turkesterone. But this is just my experience while taking turkesterone. So let's talk about it. I can remember as early as the second day of taking it, I was already noticing differences. My recovery in between sets was so much faster. I was ready to just attack the next set. I felt more pumped, more motivated, and I literally felt like I was recovering more quickly in between my sets. And realistically, that's huge. If you're able to recover more quickly in between sets, you can do a bunch of different things, right? Like you could either pack more volume into your workouts, you could just have a quicker workout overall, you could be improving your cardiovascular endurance. Like all these benefits and things were rushing through my head as I was realizing how fast I was going through my workout. And not only how fast I was getting through it, but how effectively I was doing it as well. I was still hitting the same weights and reps that I would normally do. I was just doing it at a very accelerated pace. And I felt good while I was doing it. And I had done enough research to know that there wasn't any real scientific backing saying that this is what was gonna happen to me. It almost kind of felt a little unreal, honestly. But to be fair, that's kind of where the positive stuff ended. And the negative stuff heavily outweighed it. I feel like the best way I can relate to what I was, experiencing inside my head was the way that some people act when they're really hungry, also known as hangry. So essentially I would have these mental battles where I would quickly get upset with something, but I had enough, recognition to realize that like it wasn't something that I should really be upset about. But I was still having that uncontrolled emotion just surging up way more often than it normally would. And honestly, it probably took a week to really realize that this was consistently happening, and that I would continually have that recognition, like, why am I getting upset over this? I wasn't having any like crazy outbursts or anything like that. I wouldn't consider it similar to roid rage necessarily. Not that I know what that feels like, but I felt like I was having mood swings, and it was weird for me, but I was able to recognize it. And once I realized that that was happening, the only logical conclusion that I came to was that it was because of the turkesterone. Was it because of the turkesterone? I mean, honestly, I don't know, but I can tell you I don't have those mood swings anymore. Honestly, I think the nail in the coffin sort of thing for me was the overwhelming increased anxiety that I was getting. I'm somebody who's dealt with anxiety their entire life, so I know what anxiety feels like. I know the difference between, being stressed out about something, being anxious, and really dealing with the symptoms. And I've coped with it my entire life, so I know how to deal with it. But when it became more and more and more to the point where I was like, am I reverting? Am I not being able to cope with what, I normally deal with? And then finally coming to that recognition that like, okay, there's only one other variable that's changed in these last couple weeks that could be potentially causing this. It just had to be the turkesterone. And the same thing with the mood swings. I'm not 100% confident that it was the turkesterone, but it's literally the only thing that changed. So that leads me to believe that it was. And when I stopped the turkesterone, that anxiety was gone. And as a way to try and relate and explain what this increased anxiety is, I think people who have anxiety will understand this pretty easily. They'll just be like, okay, increased anxiety, like, makes sense. They understand what anxiety is. So for somebody who maybe doesn't have anxiety or has had anxiety but doesn't necessarily recognize what it is, the best way that I can think of it, and this is somebody with anxiety explaining it, so it might not make sense to everybody, but for a normal person, say you go into a job interview and you're a little stressed out going into this job interview. You really want this job, but maybe you're a little underqualified or something. And you get in there and the person you're doing the interview with is very intimidating. So you're not 100% comfortable at this point. And they start to ask you questions that you can't confidently answer 100%, and you're not confident enough to bullshit your way through this conversation. And you come up on a question where you just get stumped and you don't know what to say. And there's that moment where your stomach kind of drops and you're like, oh shit, what am I gonna do here? That brief moment, that's what anxiety is. People live with this for extended periods of times, and anxiety really ramps up when you have the thought of something, and it could be something as simple as going to the grocery store. And you're thinking about a moment where you might have an awkward encounter with somebody, or whatever the situation that you might be put in that you don't really want to deal with. Well, in somebody's mind who has anxiety, you replay that moment and you exacerbate that moment until it becomes so stressful that you just can't possibly stop thinking about it, but you feel like you just can't do it physically either. You're like, I can't get myself to go to the grocery store now, because you have played this thought over and over and over again in your head. And so that's why it's the final straw for me. Like, I'm not gonna deal with increased anxiety for benefits in the gym. It's just not worth it to me. And that's why taking the route of any type of steroids is unrealistic to me as well. I don't want it affecting, my brain chemistry, my mood swings, my health, mental or physical. It's just not worth it. And something that is gonna give me positive gains in the gym but affect me elsewhere, it's just not worth it to me. I mean, and ultimately, it's the anxiety that really flipped the switch for me, and it's like, well, I can't do this. You know, it's funny, I haven't felt that level of anxiety since, you know, probably middle school or high school time, where I really dealt with, you know, that mental struggle and that hardcore anxiety that prevented me from, you know, being a completely different person than I am today, or being, you know, a more successful version of myself, or maybe less successful. You never know the roads I would have taken if I didn't have that anxiety, but it definitely was a roadblock and prevented me from doing so many things that I wanted to do, but I wasn't strong enough to fight through and achieve. But I mean, hey, I'm here now, so. And honestly, I think maybe somebody that has not dealt with anxiety or doesn't experience the anxiety-ish symptoms or the mood swing stuff, and you just feel better in the gym, then I mean, why not take it even if it's 100% placebo? Like if it's, yeah, it costs money, but like if it's helping you in your training and your mindset to continually progress and get better at the thing that you love, why not spend the extra couple dollars a day in order to get that, right? And to be clear, everything affects people, you know, different ways. You know, not everybody's gonna feel the same, not everybody's gonna react the same way. So, you know, it could be great for somebody and not so great for another person, and maybe you don't feel anything at all. And worst case scenario is that you tried it, you either A, didn't like it, B, didn't feel anything, or C, it helped you. So why not give it a shot? And I'm not specifically recommending any brand or anything, you know, but buy a reputable company that's tested their turkesterone, that you know has turkesterone in it. Give it a shot, and if you don't like it, then you don't like it. As a gym bro, I mean, you owe it to yourself to take any natural supplement that might give you an advantage or an edge or help you achieve the physique or the dream that you've been striving for. So, you know, give it a shot. Why not, right? And I want to be clear, like after I got those benefits on day 2, where I felt like I was more, you know, recovered in between each set, I was more pumped, I was really motivated, you know, those things didn't go away. I was still experiencing those positive symptoms the entire time. And honestly, to me, it felt like a good pre-workout as well. Like it gave me significant energy throughout the entire day, and especially during my workouts. So that was something that was like, that aided me. Like maybe if, as soon as I first noticed those mood swings going on, I would have been like, yo, cut this out. But it's like, oh man, I'm getting this positive benefit that potentially outweighs this. But as the mood swings became more frequent and became more obvious that it was the turkesterone and then the anxiety, like it was a done deal. But you know, that's probably why people get tied up in, you know, anabolic steroids and things of that nature, is like you feel like the positives are outweighing the negatives. And I can see why people feel like that, because, you know, even as something as simple as turkesterone that's, you know, all natural and could potentially have 0 side effects or not bad side effects and just have a couple decent positives, even though they're not crazy positives, it was still enough to like put me in that mindset where I was like, oh, well, is it worth it? You know, to ask that question of, you know, a trade essentially. And in my opinion, if you have to ask yourself if something is worth it, then most of the time it's probably not worth it. But like I said before, this is my experience. This is how I felt while I took turkesterone. No two people are gonna be the same, so your experience is gonna be completely different from mine. So take that for what it is. If you guys enjoyed the video, click on one of the other videos on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.